Hi, I'm Jonas. I'm an ESL teacher. I've taught for about 11 years, and right now I'm teaching downtown, and I've got all sorts of students. I'm teaching Japanese students, I'm teaching European students from Germany, from France, from Switzerland, and also Korean students, and you name it. I've taught the nationality probably. So, yeah, that's who I am. Well, if you're gonna say, 11 years of teaching, my first years were primarily, they were all Japanese, almost all of them. There were some Korean, but mostly just Japanese and Korean. As I've taught longer, I've taught different nationalities, but still, there's been Japanese. So it's difficult to say how many, but I'd say countless amounts. I can't even count how many I've taught. Um, I actually get very excited when I have Japanese students. Part of the reason is because they've come from a culture where they're very, how do I say, they do everything in such a organized and fashionable manner. They have really good manners, they listen to the teacher. Um, the only thing that's kind of difficult for me sometimes is to get them to speak, especially the very lower levels of Japanese students. But I'd say on the whole, I really, really, really enjoy having Japanese students. I guess also I'm half Asian, so my mom is Taiwanese, and part of me just feels very comfortable among other Asian people. Um, I like all sorts of personalities. To be honest, to have an interesting and a very rewarding class, it's great to have students of all different types of personalities. Recently, I've had a class of some very outgoing European students who like to speak all the time and say all these things. And I also had with them some Japanese and some Korean students who do like to talk, but they're afraid to speak out. So it was kind of I feel my responsibility to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they can speak um, without being afraid of being judged or whatever. They can say whatever's on their mind, and I totally respect that. So I think that was your question, right? Personality?
Yeah.
Oh, again, I like any type of personality. Um, what's most important is the student is driven. The student wants to learn. The student is there to try. The student is there to improve. The student is there to do the best that they can. I can't stand slackers, people who are lazy, people who come to class and have no motivation, people who complain and just stay home, don't come out, don't study English. There's no reason for you to be there. As soon as you say that, the first thing that comes to mind was a really bad class I had 2 years ago, and almost every single student I felt had this virus. It's like it was contagious. They caught this virus from each other of being a bad student, and all of them believed and agreed that the school that they were in and everything that we're doing was not helping them whatsoever, and nothing they were learning was good for them. And I even had classes where they throw paper at me, and they would, just do all sorts of disrespectful things to the teacher. And that kind of student, I hope I could never have to encounter again in my life. And I've never ever encountered that in any Asian classroom. Never ever. And that's one thing that I really like is I know for sure there's going to be none of that kind of behavior in the classroom like that with Asian students. Um, I really value I really value quiet students, but the quiet student has to be wanting to try to come out of their shell. That means that if they're kind of inside this little cave or their shell, and they have to trust that it's okay to come out of it and it's okay to explore. If the student is quiet and they're just being, either lazy or disrespectful, they're playing games on their phone, or they're quiet because they're bored or they don't want to be there, then forget those people. But but the students who are quiet and they want to learn, those are the ones that I really, really reach out to, and I make sure that they excel in my class. I think that's one of the best things you can do for yourself when you come to Vancouver or you come to a foreign place. Japanese students, if I see them, trying their best at a Starbucks or at a restaurant or whichever it is, it really makes me very, very, very happy, because that's the best experience you can get, is the experience of being immersed, being part of the society. And by putting yourself into one of those positions, only the best things can happen to you with language. I had one student, I remember a while back, he had the worst time. He was having such difficulty learning English, and he left for 3 months to work as a dishwasher, or even as a waiter in a restaurant. He came back 3 months later and spoke to me. I was almost crying because his English was like maybe 100 times better than the way it was before. And I thought, wow, this guy really applied himself. He was in that environment and he got so much better. Yeah, almost all Japanese accents I can understand. I find that the thing is, the way that they speak is the way that it's written, which is in katakana. And I think that if you know that a lot of what's happening is they're saying things with vowels, using a lot of vowels, at the end of the word or in the middle of the word, you can figure out what they're trying to say. I think that perhaps some teachers find that Japanese students don't speak enough, or don't speak, quick enough. And part of that is because they're really trying to put things together, like in their heads. And once they have those things together, they can finally say the word. But that's another thing. You need to be patient with these students. If you're impatient, then nothing's going to happen. Nothing good is going to come. It's almost evident. It's almost like right away you can hear it. You can hear the speed of how they're using the language. They're speaking very quickly. You can tell by the type of vocabulary that they're using. It's usually quite advanced. You can also tell that they've dropped the vowel problem. They've dropped the katakana. They've made sure that now every word is exactly how it is. They're no longer saying makuru narudo. They're going McDonald's. And that's something that a native speaker like myself, if you hear that, you're like, okay, for sure, this Japanese speaker is definitely not intermediate or beginner. They're advanced. Do some research before you come to Vancouver, and kind of understand the way life is in Canada or in Vancouver. Understand that when you get here, you're going to be expected to speak. That's the big thing, is you're going to be expected to speak in class. So if that's the case, put your mind into that kind of mode where it's like, okay, I need to turn on my mind and say, now is the time to speak and make mistakes. Because the students who make the most mistakes and try the hardest are the ones that are going to learn the most. The students who are afraid to make mistakes and they keep their mouth shut are the ones they're going to learn the least. So come to Vancouver, come to North America with an open mind, ready to try everything possible to learn the language. You're welcome.